Aries, welcome to your September 2015 love reading. It's Raina here. I have never done one of these before, and I mean, I've done it for clients, but I've never done it for YouTube. So you are the first sign. It's the first time, so it's all good. And I'm doing a 5 card spread, and I will explain what each card means. But just suffice it to say that this reading will be most appropriate to someone who is either looking for a love relationship or is in an unsatisfying love relationship. Either there's some kind of a breakup or, like back and forth, or you just don't feel like you're clicking. And maybe this will give you some empowerment. So the first card represents where you're at emotionally right now. And I picked for you the Two of Swords, which relates to having blockage in your emotional life, to maybe avoiding your partner, or if you are single, avoiding even trying to be in a relationship for whatever reason. Maybe you've been hurt in the past and you're just like, I don't even want to go there because I know it's going to happen again. There might be some kind of an impasse. The Two of Swords can often point to that, like for instance, if you are in a marriage that is having problems and you just can't get beyond a certain issue, maybe you've even gone to therapy and it still hasn't been resolved. That's what this energy represents. You might be even deluded. And it could be more than just being deluded. It could be that you are not expressing what you really need to your partner for whatever reason. Maybe you fear an emotional outburst, or you're with somebody who just doesn't seem to care, and so you've kind of gotten hard-hearted within the relationship. I just wanted to say that, it's so important not to be in a relationship that is dehumanizing. And unfortunately, because of emotional needs that people have, they sometimes allow themselves to be in relationships that are far worse than it would ever be to be alone. And when I see some of the qualities of the Two of Swords in relationship to being in this place emotionally, it's really hard to think about. But the general feeling is that if you're in a relationship, you might be keeping the other person at an arm's length, like you're trying to avoid dealing with them directly. Maybe you're not even listening to them. Maybe you're being defensive. Maybe you're lying to yourself about what you really need for whatever reason, because of the children, because of the need for the other spouse's support financially, whatever it is. If you're single, then this is more, I think, of a feeling of having been hurt and being leery of being hurt in the future. And so this is you applying what happened to you in the past on your present. The second card represents why you're in this position, and it says, what do you need to learn from the universe about why you're here emotionally. And I got the Five of Wands. And I have to kind of laugh, Aries, because this is so you. The Five of Wands is all about being competitive with another person, having, some sort of bickering fest, the Bickersons, quibbling, debating, it's not necessarily like really serious. It's more of a typical Aries love of some sort of battle. And even in the minor sense, it's always like you're spoiling for a fight. And so, you're the type of person that likes to be in control. Being a cardinal sign, that's just how it goes. Sometimes people aren't going to go along with the program, right? So you're not having that. and it can bother you when people don't do your bidding. But I think this is also just a general disharmony that is creating the situation of being at an impasse. And it may relate also, for some of you at least, that you're with the wrong person. And the reason that you would be with the wrong person is that some Aries people are very sexually oriented, okay? And they can get with another person almost primarily because of lust rather than a deeper connection. And you will find that a lot of the most degrading relationships happen because people are sexually compatible, but otherwise completely incompatible. Okay. And this is something that an Aries person really needs to take a good hard look at, especially if you have situation after situation where this occurs, where you have a relationship with someone and it doesn't work out. And not only doesn't it work out, but there's actual contention. It's nasty. It can be because it's based on faulty ground. And the faulty ground is the most primal thing, which is the lust versus, having the same kind of values, having the same kind of interests and that sort of thing. If you don't have this, if you're not on the same page, how can you possibly sustain a relationship just on the sex? There could be somebody else in the picture. You might have a rival, Aries, and this is making you crazy. I would say that if you're with a partner who is cheating on you, and I think that Aries is a sign that is one of the least likely to cheat because you guys tend to be above board. You're like open books in a lot of ways. You're much more likely to be blunt about any problems within the relationship. So I don't think it's necessarily the Aries that is cheating, unless you're a sex addict and, it's just like any addiction where you will do whatever it takes to satisfy that need. But I think in most cases, you might be angry that somebody else, especially if you're not in a married situation, if you're dating someone and you thought it was pretty casual, but then you find out they're dating somebody else, and all of a sudden it makes you want to compete with that other person. And it kind of puts you in that passionate state of mind, and you might even kind of like it on a strange level because you like fighting for things. And as a matter of fact, I mean, that brings me to a point. I might have read this once, but I think that Aries loves a good chase, and especially I'm going to say the males, because just the way that we're socialized in our society, but it could be an Aries woman who likes to chase men. I suppose that could happen too. But basically, in order to have a chase, once you get the prey, um, can get kind of boring for an Aries person. So when there's somebody else on the horizon, it might actually create more interest and spark desire. So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle in all of this. So it might not be 100% negative. So this card is kind of asking of you, Aries, do you want to have these fights or do you want harmony in your relationship? Because sometimes you cannot have both. Unless you get with a Gemini kind of person and you do some verbal sparring, you might be able to get along with that sign. But most people do not want to have constant trolling by their partners. And this may be the area that you are contributing to the disharmony, and the other person may be fed up with it. Or you just may feel that that's normal, that's acceptable, that a person is always doing battle with their spouse. And this too is something that I think is a wrong way of looking at it. I think that we should always strive for harmony, and you can have an exciting relationship without having one that is filled with drama that has a negative tinge to it, if you know what I mean. If you're not in a relationship, the card is suggesting that maybe you have to watch your attitude towards potential partners if maybe you have these tendencies towards enjoying a good sparring match and that turns off potential partners. Or if you find yourself attracted to people that bring this out in you and it's not healthy for the relationship because then you end up doing it too much and then you end up estranged. The third and fourth cards that I picked relate to advice that you should take. And I got another Wands card and another Swords card, the Nine of Wands and the Ace of Swords. And the Nine of Wands is a very protective card, protecting yourself, watching your own back, making sure that you're standing for what you believe in, for what you deserve. And so, going back to that Two of Swords, if you're the one who is in denial, who is in a relationship with someone that you suspect is stepping out on you or is otherwise deceptive or abusive, then you definitely need to protect yourself. You definitely need to respect yourself enough not to allow them to continue this. And you will have the strength to do this. The Ace of Swords is a card that speaks of using truth as a weapon. And this is exactly what I was getting back to with the Two of Swords, is that kind of self-deception, lying to yourself, not being truthful to the other person, pretending that everything is okay when it's not. This card suggests that you're going to have to be honest. And you guys tend to be very honest. So there might be some reason why you're not. The Nine of Wands would suggest that maybe you need to start preparing for how you're going to, if you need to get out of a situation because it's not safe for you, then you can just start doing things without telling the other person and preparing for your exit. And this is a self protective measure. And then the Ace of Swords would just mean that you're being honest with yourself about why you need to leave. The outcome card, if you decide to do all of these things, is the Four of Pentacles. Pentacles relates to earth. So it means groundedness, it means firm foundations. Four represents foundations. And so if you do all of this, you will maybe salvage a relationship and put it on less shaky ground. Or you can start a relationship on a good foot, because some of you may really need to be in a relationship with someone that is suitable for you, and you've found yourself in incompatible relationships. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I am offering $19 love readings. You can click on the link below to find out more about that. Thank you, Aries. Bye.